evening. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Welcome to KTN Sunday Night. I am Ann Kiguta. Tonight on Checkpoint, we will be discussing 100 days of the opposition. I welcome your feedback. Tweet me at Ann Kiguta, that's Ann with an E, or at KTN Kenya. Use the hashtag Checkpoint. But first, let's take a look at our top stories tonight.
Those side shows are not going to help me at this particular time. Please let us focus on the campaign. We want all the players to be there.
Is Jubilee going back to court to stop Mutula Jr? Find out tonight.
You cannot disband IEBC in a political rally, in a funeral, in a political party's caucus.
If you have gone to celebrate the victory of your own member declared by the IEBC to have won, and then in the same function, you are saying IEBC is the most corrupt institution, it should be disbanded. Then what are you doing celebrating about the victory of this gentleman?
Leave Isaac Hassan alone, Jubilee leaders tell court coalition. Bees that drink juice but don't sting, Mombasa's bizarre insect. And our special feature tonight, what it means to be pregnant in Kenya. Such a pleasure to have you with us tonight. The Jubilee leadership has denied any knowledge of reports that the party's sympathizers were planning yet another court action to stop the newly chosen Mutula Jr. from vying for the Makueni Senate seat. Jubilee spoke as ODM's Professor Peter Nyang'nyongo called Jubilee an extremely politically spoilt lot who expect the courts to give them victory every time. Here's KTN's Arun Cheng with that story.
The last 48 hours can be said to have been fast changing in the family of the late Mutula Kilonzo, as events seem to be shifting fast as the by-election date for Makueni County draws closer. Even though Mutula Kilonzo Jr. has very limited time to popularize himself, there are already fears that another hurdle could be placed on his way. Nobody wants to be associated with the move yet, but there are claims that some Jubilee sympathizers could be moving to court early Monday morning to challenge a decision of the High Court to grant Wiper Democratic Party a second chance to nominate a candidate for the Makueni by-election. The argument is that three-judge bench that allowed Wiper a chance to name a new candidate blundered in law because the deadline for the nomination of candidates had already elapsed. ODM Secretary General Professor Nyang'nyongo has however dismissed the planned move by Jubilee, terming the rival coalition as extremely spoilt politically. Nyong'o says in a statement that Jubilee believes that courts are there to hand them electoral victory even without any precedence of holding a competitive election. The leader of majority in Parliament, Adan Duale, however, says he is not aware of any planned move to go to court to stop Mutula Jr. Section 15 of the Elections Act states that a political party shall nominate its candidate for an election at least 45 days before an election in accordance with its constitution and nomination rules. It goes further to say that a political party shall not change the candidate nominated after the nomination of that person has been received by the Commission. But the man that Jubilee has fronted in the Makueni battle was economical with his words on what his coalition is planning to do to ensure that he clinches the seat.
I'm focusing on my campaign. Those side shows are not going to help me at this particular time. Please let us focus on the campaign. We want all the players to be there. We want everybody to be there. There are 5 candidates that are trying to capture the seat, and the best one will be able to win on Friday.
The Elections Act is weak. We need to amend it so that we do not change the forest and put different monkeys.
The Makueni by-election is due this Friday, the 26th day of July. Aaron Ocheng, KTN, Sunday Night Live.
And joining us now is the man of the moment himself, Mutula Jr, for his first television interview. Thank you for granting to us on KTN Sunday night.
Thank you for the compliment.
Well, it's an interesting race, this Makueni seat. It's shaping out to be. I'm just curious, did you ever have political ambitions before the seat became vacant?
No. I've always thought maybe one of these days I would be a politician, but not at my age.
Which is?
Do I have to disclose?
Full disclosure, that's what good politics is about.
I'm 38, yes.
So came a little earlier in your career than you expected?
Earlier than I thought, yes.
There is the general feeling out there, and when I put it out on Twitter that you would be coming, a lot of people asked, did somebody prevail upon you to run for this seat?
No, nobody prevailed upon me to run for the seat because I had refused similar overtures before. When they were made to me, immediately my father passed away.
So what changed it all?
The circumstances are different because the things that were worrying me at the time no longer worry me because some of them have been resolved, and I believe that I have put in place some sort of mechanism to resolve the things that were bothering me.
What was bothering you?
But some of them are personal, family issues, etc., etc. Yes.
It's interesting that you bring family because, of course, you are hoping to, quote-unquote, inherit your late father's seat. We saw your mother show interest in it, your sister Kathy as well, who came relatively close to it. How has this particular race affected your family?
We live in a very democratic family where everybody wants to make a decision about something. They proceed and do so without necessarily affecting the rest. Means that if Kathy was going to vie for the seat, it wasn't going to affect me or any other person. Even any reservations that we might have had about any other person were all taken care of. Yes. So it's not like we're having a push and pull about anything. Not at all.
What did you think of how Kathy's bid turned out? Do you think she was unfairly locked out?
Of course she was unfairly locked out.
So you do hold that she's a registered voter?
Of course I hold that because she holds an acknowledgement slip. Yes.
And so we should expect that she would actually be able to go to the ballot and vote for you?
She can't vote for me now. Because she's not registered in Makueni. If she was, it would be a pleasure for her to vote for me. But the other way around, I would have voted for her.
How does she feel about your candidature?
Kathy supports me. When in fact she was asked before all these other dramas came along, she said that this is the person who you should be asking, don't talk to me. Yeah.
What is your vision for Makueni? And I wonder if at all you have perused through what I imagine would have been your father's blueprint, his plans, and how you intend to...
We drafted it with him.
How do you intend to take it on as part of your own?
Of course, because it was a well thought out blueprint, policy on unemployment, policy on water, policy on infrastructure, railway, etc., etc. If a lot of people do not know that, for example, the Konza City project is part and parcel of Makueni, bordering Machakos, but that's a lot of the things that he did and prepared. He shared with us before he even discussed it. I even have the tape recording of what he said before it was typed.
And as we wind up, because we are out of time, you have said that you believe your sister was unfairly locked out of this particular race. You are, of course, running on a wiper ticket, which is part of the coalition that holds that IEBC is not fit to run elections. In fact, have threatened to boycott the next general election. Why run this time an election that will be run by a body that the coalition you're part of has dismissed?
If you listen to the statements that have been made, they're all in a futuristic perspective. They're simply saying, get the act together, get this thing done in a proper way, so that we do not end up having the doubts that people had once this process was completed and went to the Supreme Court. Because you see, the country was, at the time that people woke up on 4th, they were expecting that they would go get, for example, their fingerprints on some machine or whatever, and then vote. That turned out to be a different procedure because all these machines broke down. But more importantly, when the Supreme Court made a decision as to whether or not one procedure is better than the other. They left the thing hanging. And for purposes of future elections, this country must have something that is definite. We must know either we are doing it manually or we are doing it electronically. So
and now that you have thrust yourself into this very colorful field called politics, I'm sure at some point we'll be continuing this conversation. We're absolutely out of time. Yeah. So I must apologize and thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, Mutula Jr, and all the best.
Thank you.
Let's move on. Still with politics, Jubilee leaders have once again come out in defense of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, dismissing criticism by the court coalition, which has claimed IEBC was favoring Jubilee. Speaking during a Thanksgiving ceremony for Cabinet Secretary for Commerce, Tourism and East Africa Community, Phyllis Kandie, the leaders wanted those who wish to see the IEBC disbanded to formally present a petition to the effect as required by the Constitution. They were speaking in Carbonet in Baringo County.
God forgives us.
What is this that people have to swear on a Bible about? What is this that must make IEBC be disbanded? Because if it must be disbanded because Jubilee won elections, then please be very careful even about Makueni.
We must tell the Prime Minister the law. We are going to teach him the law. If you want to disband IEBC, bring a petition to Parliament under Article 251. Now, ujue pale kuna tyranny of numbers.
If you have gone to celebrate the victory of your own member declared by the IEBC to have won, and it was even challenged in court, and the court upheld that the IEBC was right to declare that member the winner, and then in the same function you are saying IEBC is the most corrupt institution, it should be disbanded, then what are you doing celebrating about the victory of this gentleman who was declared by IEBC? Isn't it a contradiction?
Interesting question indeed. And as now we end a special week of coverage of the Jubilee government's first 100 days in office, we want to take you to Lamu, where the move by the government to waive maternity fees has been put to the test of what it really means to be pregnant in Kenya. Our features reporter Angel Katusia brings you the story of mothers in Lamu County and the harsh realities they go through to bring life.
We arrive here just 2 days after Zainabu delivered her firstborn child, but the midwife has not yet left this house. Zainabu still needs her help. A daily massage on her stomach to get rid of what they call dirty blood and clean off her womb is what the midwife will be doing for days. Zainabu delivered at home, and her story is the story of a majority of mothers in Lamu County.
My government has now made adequate budgetary arrangements to enable all pregnant mothers to access free maternal services in all public health facilities with effect from 1st June 2013.
These are the ambitions that every parent has for themselves and their children, but there are millions who do not have the opportunity to enjoy this basic right. While some mothers are lucky to access proper maternal health services at their doorstep whenever they need them, many more can only dream of that chance, all in the same country at the same time. Lamu Island, the oldest and best preserved Swahili town in East Africa and one of the most famous along the coastline for lavish hotels, beautiful beaches, historical sites and donkey races. But beneath Lamu's beauty lies the dark reality of hundreds of thousands of Kenyans who do not have the basic choices in life that are often taken for granted.
Unajua sasa ukiwa na choice you select the best. Lakini if you have no choice, what do you do?
Maternal mortality in Lamu County is estimated to be over 1,000 per 100,000. This is more than twice the national average of 488 women per 100,000. Globally, over 350,000 women and girls die of complications related to pregnancy and childbirth each year, according to the World Health Organization. In Kenya, this translates to slight under 500 per 100,000 live birth. Lamu's average for 1,000 per 100,000 is why we are here, to try and understand why the mortality numbers are like this. Just what ails Lamu's mothers and their newborns. The county is divided into two districts, Lamu East and Lamu West. These are further divided into divisions: Faza, Kizingitini, Amu, Mpekotoni, Hindi, Witu and Kiunga. Majority of the population in Lamu County live in Amu Division. Here is where the government district hospital is. Another reasonable population lives in Mpeketoni and Faza. To reach Zainabu in Pate Island, we had two options: to board a passenger boat from Amu, which takes 6 to 8 hours to the island, or hire a speedboat, which will take about an hour and a half. On a speedboat, we leave Lamu at 5 a.m. This is a rule. The travel is low tide. Pate is the largest island in the Lamu archipelago. Pate town is in the middle of a conservative society. Here residents keep to old traditions passed from generation to generation and enforced by religion. It is a predominantly Muslim community. It's a tightly knit community where everybody knows what is happening around them. On this day, the entire community is celebrating the birth of Zainabu's child. In a small community like this, important persons are known by all. Saida Ali inherited a job of midwife from her late mother. She is a famous woman here, and Zainabu is only her latest client. She is unable to count all the women she has delivered here, but admits it has not always been smooth. She mentions cases where children have died during delivery. Health officers in Lamu say majority of deaths occur due to delays by the mothers.
TBS wanaeka mama kwa muda mrefu nyumbani. By the time mambo yamebadilika ndio nakimbisha hospitali. Watu watatu wamejifungua nyumbani.
Hania Muhammad, Saida's daughter, she is 8 months pregnant. This is her 4th pregnancy. 3 of her children were delivered by her mother. One child, however, died days after her birth due to complications she says the baby developed during birth.
Kama hii ya tatu nilijifungua mwaka jana, bahati mbaya mtoto hakupona, nilienda hospitali. Nilipoenda hospitali daktari hayupo, nikarudi zangu nyumbani.
And stories of mothers and children dying from birth-related complications here in Pate and the entire Lamu County are common.
Mtoto tumewahi poteza kwa sababu ya pengine ile shida za usafiri.
Ania did not seek the services of a trained nurse or doctor. Here, many women only go to hospital when complications arise.
Hospitali uenda kiwa umetoka na tatizo au pengine umezidiwa ndio utaenda hospitali upate na matibabu.
Kuna upungufu wa wahudumu ambao saa zingine wanalazimika kufanya kazi mchana na usiku.
But she is glad her mother is always available, and the community here trusts local midwives. In fact, the tradition here encourages women to be delivered by their mothers and mothers-in-law. Hania plans to deliver at the hospital this time round, but this is just because of fears after her last baby died. Her hope now is that she will deliver during the day, that the nurse will be available, and she will not suffer any complications. Those hopes, based on the fact that Pate dispensary runs only during the day, it is run by one male nurse and can only handle a normal delivery without complications. These are just but a few challenges. There are more. Zainabu and Hania are representatives of women here who day in, day out dream of new opportunities.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's announcement that all fees on maternal health in all public hospitals be waived was good news, but it was only good news to those women who can easily access health facilities that are equipped and will receive those services from trained personnel. But here in Lamu, it was not good news to majority of women who live in far-to-reach islands where transport is a challenge.
Imagine an expectant woman in Pate who is due for delivery and has developed a complication. The only health facility where she can get help is the district hospital in Lamu town. That is if she can make it there. To put it simply, it takes 6 hours from Pate Island to Amu on a normal boat, but these boats operate only on specific days and time. The same journey is covered by a speedboat in 1.5 hours, but that as a catch.
Boat ya passengers ni pengine 400 kwa passenger kwenda na kurudi 400. Pengine 1000 iwe uwe kwenda na kurudi.
Ukipata rahisi ni labda ni 10,000. Lakini most likely huwa ni kama 10,000 ama 15,000 na range hapo.
Nilifika midway between Lamu and Mtangawanda at a place called Bruno. Kuna channel hapo kwa Bruno. It's a dangerous place. Hiyo ni deep sea, lakini at least yule coxswain alikuwa ni experienced coxswain. Tukakaa somewhere, tukazalishana na huyo mama kidogo. We lost the mother the baby, but at least we managed to save the mother.
Kama hapa tufanye paka Pate pengine masaa 4. Ukitoka hapa tufanye mpaka kwetu huko Ndao pengine masaa 6 kwa sababu huko Ndao mbali kidogo.
And the water transport is so risky at times. The boats have to operate with the tide's movement. At times, the water is so turbulent that no boat owner will dare take the journey.
Pengine bahari huwa ni mbaya sana. Sasa katika kuja kutafuta matibabu katika ile safari anazidi apate complications zaidi.
In Nairobi, petrol is retailing at 109.52 and diesel at 102.86 according to the latest energy regulation prices. In Lamu, according to the ERC, petrol should be retailing at 109.87 and diesel at 103.23. But because fuel prices in Lamu are controlled by private people, a litre of petrol ends up retailing at 159 shillings in Lamu. This directly affecting residents whose only mode of transport is boats which operate on petrol. Accessibility aside, culture too is another obstacle. Here women are not allowed to be delivered by male nurses, but the government posting does not appear to consider this. The only nurse at the Pate dispensary is a man.
Lakini sasa mimi hufeel shy kuzalisha na wanamume. Naona haya kwa sababu hata nikitoka nje nikimwona mimi nitafeel yani mtu ameniona mwili wangu, na ambapo mwili ni kitu secret wakifai kuonekana.
Nikifika hapa kulikuwa hakuna mzazi anakuja kupokewa hapo kusalia hospitali.
All divisions in Lamu County have dispensary units, but the level of services are inadequate. For example, the dispensary here at Pate has a small, ill-equipped delivery room. It can only accommodate one expectant mother at a time. The delivery room can only allow normal delivery. In case of an emergency, a referral to the district hospital is a must, but there is a warrant factor to this.
Hospitali kuna boat. Hata kule upande wa Faza kuna boat ya hospitali, racing boat. Lakini sasa unajua supply ya mafuta, it's not regular.
Kama kuna dharura, waipatikane kuhudumiwa ile muda wa haraka hivyo, kwa sababu mpaka tuitishe boat. Sasa ingine huwa tunategemea tides. Pengine tides iko low, mpaka tungoje maji tides kuwe high, so that boat ikuje mpaka pwani.
Mama alikuwa anatoka Faza, kwa anakuja hivi. Sasa ukapita eneo lingine bahari ilikuwa kali sana. Ikabidi sasa yakarushwa ile boti mpaka akasikia uchungu, ikabidi kujifungua.
But even when the women get to the district hospital in Lamu, there is always no guarantee that all shall be well. The district hospital, that is the hope of many in the entire county, is also ill-equipped and understaffed.
Imagine ule mama ametoka huko, ametukua time, na hapa ondoke hapa pelekwe mbele, pia ni time hii. Hujui kile kiumbe chaweza kuchoka matumboni, ama chaweza kuhatarisha afya yake ama maisha yake, ama pia yule mama aweza kuhatarisha maisha yake. Wataka ukitoka kule kuja hapa upate ile huduma. Hutaki uende mbele. Tunataka huduma zetu ziweko hapa Lamu.
During a visit to the hospital last year, it emerged that the hospital did not have a single incubator, and that means a near-death sentence for children born prematurely. A year later, the situation has not changed.
Itabidi utumie mambo ya kizamani, manake sasa ikiwa hakuna incubator hapa, utafanya nini? Ni kumfunga kwenye matambara, ni kufunga kwenye mapamba, lakini sasa hizo zote si huduma kama incubator.
According to the nurse in charge of the maternity department, the number of expectant mothers seeking services has doubled in recent weeks following the government's directive waiving all maternity fees.
Na tumeambiwa huduma ni bure na pesa zitakuja, at least we thank to that. Lakini tungependa hizo pesa ikiwa ni za kuja basi zikuje haraka sana. Unajua? Sio ati tunasema ati pesa zitakuja, wamama they already here. Pesa zitakuja na wamama wako hapa, tutafanya nini kwa hivyo?
In an effort to improve accessibility, the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, donated a boat that was meant for the hospital. But for 3 years now, the boat has not been of help to the district hospital.
Ile boat NHIF tuseme kweli ile imedonatiwa na NHIF. Lakini ina siasa yake hiyo, hatuwezi kusema mambo yake juu kwa sababu alikuja hapa wakati mmoja former prime minister wetu, nasema hiyo boti alikuwa pamoja na Nyang'nyong wa handover kwa serikali kwa Minister of Health, lakini haikufanyika mpaka sasa kwa ndani ya bahari.
Kenya is signatory to the UN Charter on Millennium Development Goals, but the deadline of 2015, now just a year and a few months away, the goal of reducing maternal mortality by 75% remains ever distant. Across the border in Tanzania, the picture is markedly different. The country ranks position 26 in Africa in maternal deaths, but that is still way better than Kenya and Uganda. Tanzania led the way in waiving maternal fees, and analysts believe that Kenya could borrow a leaf from its southwestern neighbor to drive the maternal agenda and reduce maternal mortality. In a remote village in Shinyanga region is the heart of rural Tanzania. It's a day set for mothers and children. In this village, women gather here twice every month. Government health officers, together with their colleagues from non-government organizations, have arranged programs where they take services closer to the people.
Hapa wamama saa wamekusanyika kwa ajili ya kupata chanjo za watoto, kwa maana yani hizi hospitali za huku kijijini chanjo waga hazipo mara nyingi. Sasa ndio wamefanya mpango wa kuwasaidia hao wamama ili wapate chanjo watoto wao na wajawazito pia.
These programs happen in all regions of Tanzania and have helped to reduce maternal and infant mortality rates remarkably. The lessons here are many and the benefits are clear. And so as Kenyans celebrate the waiving of maternity fees by the new government, in places like Lamu, that move is welcome. But everyone here knows it is only a first step in giving real hope to mothers like Zainabu. Reporting for KTN, I'm Angel Katrisia.
Angel, thank you so much for that story, and thank you for staying with us on KTN Sunday Night Live. Just ahead, we'll be telling you about bees that drink juice and do not sting. Bizarre, it's coming up. And also, of course, Checkpoint, 100 days of the opposition. You do not want to miss that conversation. Don't go away.